So today we're going to be looking at Oracle VirtualBox. Now what Oracle VirtualBox enables you to do is to in effect run a computer inside your computer. So you're running an operating system at the moment, but we can create a virtual computer inside of that within a window. Now this is great because it enables us to perhaps play with different operating systems, create a number of different scenarios of different machines running without affecting your main operating system or the main computer that you're actually running on. Great for software developers, great if you want to do testing and perhaps have different operating systems and try them out. And in fact, you can create them, run them up, use it just like a second PC, and then throw it away at the end of it. So very good environment to be able to work with. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm running Windows 8. I'm going to load up Oracle VirtualBox. So here we go, Oracle, and there we are, Oracle VM VirtualBox. VM stands for virtual machine, and what we're actually doing here is something called virtualization, which is we're sharing parts of our host computer and we're allocating bits of disk and memory to a virtual machine so we can run multiple machines within our actual machine. So first thing I need to do is click on the new button, which I do there, and I need to give it a name. Now this is quite clever. If I type in Windows 7, can you see it changed to Windows 7? If I type in Windows 8, it changed to Windows 8, but today we're going to be using Windows XP, and I happen to be installing the 32-bit version. Now, operating systems come in different versions depending on the processor that you've actually got running within the machine, and but with a VirtualBox we can emulate different processors. So today we're going to be doing Microsoft XP 32-bit, and then I hit next. Okay, next thing it's asked me for is how much memory do I allocate. Now be careful here because you're actually going to be stealing or taking memory from your main machine. Now I've got plenty, I've got 8 gigs here, you might not. Be careful, never go outside of the green or towards the top of the green because you can be stealing too much memory and it might stop your main machine from working too well. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it up to around about, what should we have, about 512, or 599 I'll do. I could have typed it in there. So that's how much of my computer's memory I'm going to give to this particular virtual machine. And I hit next. And next thing it needs, as any PC, I've given it a processor, or it's going to share my processor. I've given it an amount of RAM. And now what I want to do is actually give it a hard drive so we can install the programs on it. And by default it's 10 gigabytes, and that's perfectly good. So I'm going to create a new virtual hard drive. And it's actually asking me for what hard drive file type I want. The reason Oracle VirtualBox does this is because there are lots of different virtualization software out there, and they all use slightly different image files and image systems, and Oracle can work with most of them. But as we're just working with Oracle VirtualBox today, I'm just going to go for the VDI, the standard VirtualBox image. So I hit next on that. Dynamically allocate. What that means is it won't just take 10 gigs at once. It will take it as it needs it, but it will never get bigger than 10 gigs. And it's a bit quicker to do it this way. Some people argue that it's slower as you start installing things onto your virtual machine, and it's better to allocate the whole lot up front. Maybe, you know, if it's a production environment, it may make sense, but for my environment, I'd rather just use a small amount. So we hit next. And file location and size, I'm going to go for the default there, so 10 gigabytes, and hit create. So there we go, we've created our first blank machine. And this is just like we've bought a machine or built a computer out of the parts. We've put the RAM, we've put the CPU, we've put the hard disk together. And if we were to turn that computer on, and I'll do that now by starting this virtual machine, and there we go, just where I'm going to start it the first time. You'll get a few pop-ups coming up. And you'll get fatal, no bootable medium found. That's exactly what happened if you just got the components, got them all working together, but didn't install any operating system or any software. The computer doesn't know what to do. It's saying, there's no operating system here, I'm not going to boot. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to install the operating system. So I'm just going to power off the machine. So what I'm now going to do is actually install an operating system onto my virtual machine. Now, It has a virtual hard drive, it has virtual RAM, and we gave it, 599 megs of RAM earlier. Also, it has a virtual CD-ROM. Now, the normal way that we'd install an operating system would be to get a copy of the Windows 7, Windows 8 or Windows XP CD, put it into the CD, turn on the computer, it would boot from that CD, and then we could start installing the operating system. And that's exactly what we're going to do here with VirtualBox. The difference is that because it's all virtual, we're going to be using a virtual CD-ROM. So, I don't know if you've heard of OSI files, but basically any CD or DVD, come to that matter, can be created as a single file called an OSI file. And what I have here on the computer is a copy of the Windows XP installation diskette in that format. And you'll find quite often if you go to Microsoft and download trial operating systems, they will come down in that format. And you have two options. You can keep it as that file and use it with things like virtual machine as we're going to do today, or you could burn it to a CD-ROM and use it in an actual machine. So I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go to storage and see here is my virtual CD-ROM drive. I then just go up here. You see the little kind of icon of the CD-ROM. Drop that down and I choose my virtual CD DVD drive. And here within my college images folder, which I store my stuff that I teach at college, I have one. Here's my ISO file. Oh, not sure if you quite saw that. Just go back in there again. It's called wxpvol_en.iso, and there is my XP installation CD file. So I select that, open it, and hit OK. So now in effect we've put the operating system install disk into the CD-ROM. So now when I start this machine, with a bit of luck, it won't say no bootable, it will find the media. There we go. It's found that CD-ROM and it's starting to run through the Windows setup. Now, depending on what version of Windows you're installing, the setups look slightly different. I quite like to cover XP because it has a few things at the start of it that you won't necessarily get in Windows 7 and Windows 8. It just makes you think a little bit and understand a little bit about operating systems and PCs and how they work. And here's the first one. It started the installation. It said, well, I found a drive here. It's a 10 gigabyte drive. There's only one drive. What do you want me to do? Well, obviously, we want to install on that drive. Now, if I had 2 drives or 3 drives, it would show each one of them. I've only got one. There's my 10 gig drive that we created earlier. So I hit enter. Next thing it's asking me, maybe a bit complex here, what type of file system do I want? What does it mean by that? Well, Windows nowadays works predominantly on what's known as the NT filing system. Way back when I was young, and I'm not that old, they used to have an operating system or file system called FAT, that stands for File Allocation Table. You can install Windows on this. There's many reasons why you shouldn't in terms of security and performance, but it's possible that you might want to share this particular drive with another operating system that doesn't understand NTFS, like Linux or something like that. But pretty much if you're just doing Windows, we're going to go for the NTFS. And I'm going to go quick. Why not? It's a bit of a con that quick. It just means it's quicker now and slower later, as opposed to slower now and quicker later. The overall time's no different, but I'll get into that another day. Okay, here we go. Quick. So what it's doing now is it's going out to that drive, and we need to have an underlying file system, and we need to have a way in which that file system has been set up so files can be put onto it. So what we're doing now is formatting the disk. We're setting that disk up so it has a kind of structure on it that files and program files can be put onto. And that's what's doing now. Now, this process takes some time. It's going to take 5-10 minutes to copy everything across, and then you're going to go into the graphical part of it, and you're going to be asked standard questions like, what time zone you're in, what do you want to call the user, what password do you want to go from it. I'm not going to show you all of that now because it'd be a very boring video just watching Windows installed, but it really is just like a wizard from this point forward. So as long as you understand that first part of what I did in this video, once we've got to this part, you just let it run to the end, and then you will have your operating system up and running in VirtualBox. Okay, that's all for now. A number of other videos coming along, but hopefully that's been of use to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio.